name is Louise, was Louise Hullinger. I'm now Louise Hullinger.
Where are you from?
And I was from Draper, South Dakota, big town.
Where is that? What's it close to?
In the middle of the state, and it's close to the little town of Vivian. And before the war was over, I met my future husband. He was from the little town of Vivian, and I was from the big town of Draper. Our kids still know that that's our favorite discussion. Anyway, I don't remember worrying about the war because my dad had been in World War I, and when they heard about Pearl Harbor and so forth, all of the neighbors were anxious to keep the war out of America, out of the United States, and all of the young men were anxious to go and help our country. I never heard a single protest from anybody, and I know the mothers felt worried, but it just seemed like it was the right thing to do. And our uncle, who was our hired man, he lived with us. He was only 7 years older than my brother and I. Got to go, but his brother, who was 2 years older, didn't pass the test. He was a 4F. And he felt so terrible that he went to another doctor, took another physical in order to go. He wanted to go, but he still didn't pass. Always felt badly about that. And Walt used to write to us. I probably still have some of the letters that Walt would write. And I remember one time, well, this was after I was teaching school, I bought him a carton of cigarettes. I thought that would be nice because he liked to smoke. And he wrote back and said, "Don't send me any more cigarettes. We can get them for, I don't know, $1 a carton or something, really cheap, and it cost me probably more than that to mail them." In high school, during the time we were in high school, Pearl Harbor happened, and but the farm boys were all deferred. So the boys from our class did not have to go when they got out of high school. Even so, a couple went. And there was one boy who was older when he started high school, quite a bit older, so he must have reached the age that he had to go. Anyway, he had to go. And he became a prisoner of war. His name was Dale Allen. And so, it came close to us, but we seemed like we were shielded from it. When we were seniors, we had a class. We always had a Founder's Day or something like that in the fall, and so our senior class made a float that said 50 years from now, and in the float we had one couple were married, and one was a professor, and one was a famous movie star, and so forth. And we had a casket, and it said dead, because one of us would be deceased. And all of the women told us afterwards they felt terrible about that, because Dale Allen, who was our classmate, was a prisoner of war at that time, and they were sure that was an omen or something, that he would be killed. He wasn't. He came home, and he was finished high school, I believe, but not at our school. Some of the things that we suffered, but it didn't seem like it was so bad, was tires were rationed, so a lot of people took the train from between Draper and Murdo, Draper and Vivian, and so forth, because gas was rationed. And in fact, I went to college because all the teachers were leaving to become Rosie the Riveters. The wages were much higher everywhere else than teaching school in South Dakota, and there was a great shortage of teachers because there were still many rural schools. And so I went to school for 2 semesters, and then I was asked to come out and finish this year, and I finished that first year. And I went
teaching in a one-room
in
school?
A one-room country school.
How
yes.
many students did you have?
I think I had about 10 students, almost one for each grade. Wonderful experience, and we won lots of prizes on Rally Day. They won the spelling. I used to let them sit in the back of the room, the oldest ones, and pronounce words to the others. And so we won the spelling contest, and we won the math contest. You would write 45 combinations on the blackboard, like 9 plus 1, 9 plus 2, 8 plus 8, and you mixed them all up. And you'd have the kids read across, say the answers, go down, give the answers, go down, give the answers until they had said the answers to all 45 in 45 combinations. And so we won our school won all of the arithmetic, all of the multiplication and addition, I think, in that contest. So they were well equipped. And anyway, the next year, that summer, Well, anyway, I went down to visit, and I took a bus from where we lived, Murdo, to Vivian to meet a friend I had met who was going to become a teacher, just go to summer school and become a teacher. And she was Cliff's sister, and he came home on furlough. Now, not many people had telephones in the country in those days, so there was no way I could call ahead, and she could call ahead and tell me, but Cliff had just come home. So that's when I met him. And he always says I was waiting there to pounce on him. Believe me, I didn't know he was there. But then he also said he thought I was just a little girl, a little friend of his sister's, and he thought nothing of it. But
well, that was 4 years. Most of the men were gone when you right after high school, right?
Yeah, we went to dances, and the girls all danced together. And
you were in college. There was almost all no.
Oh, when I went to teachers' college, there were 2 men, and one was an older man, and the young man I think was too young to go yet. 2 men. That was Springfield Teachers College. So when I went back to college, I went to Brookings, where there were more men than women, which was probably the motivation for most of the girls that went there. And there was the ROTC there, young boys, and all the guys were coming back from the service, and most of them were very serious about their schoolwork, and they got good grades, and most of them got married shortly thereafter. Oh, I was going to say that during the war, gas was rationed, tires were sugar. We didn't always have all the sugar we wanted, and the girls couldn't get silk stockings, and we used to paint our legs with some kind of a brown lotion or tan lotion, and draw a line up the back of the leg, because silk stockings in those days had seams down them. We always had a terrible time keeping the seams straight. And then after I was teaching school one day, my aunt, I was staying at her house. When I came home from school, she said, I have sad news for you. I have bad news for you. And I couldn't think what it was, and it was that my uncle was killed on Kwajalein.
And it was Walter Anderson?
His body is still laying in Hawaii, and we did look up when we were there. We looked. It was a joyous time when everybody came home.